You're basically talking about lifting ownership caps. What prompted this idea?
Well, first of all, the changes in the marketplace, right? So back in 2004, when Congress passed a law that said a single or individual broadcaster or owner could not reach more than 39% of the country to market its video if it used stronger broadcast signals. This is just free over-the-air TV stations. Or 78% of the country if they used weaker signals. That was in an era before internet video, before Netflix or Amazon Prime, et cetera, right? So now you have a huge shift just in the past 3 or 4 years of people looking away from traditional TV screens and more towards smartphones and other internet-connected devices of all kinds. And that's where the eyeballs are going. You know, Reed Hastings at Netflix has said his biggest competitor is sleep. He's just trying to get more people to spend more time watching video. So what does that tell you? You no longer need to worry about free over-the-air TV broadcasters having some sort of gatekeeper status over video. In fact, more and more people are looking away from free over-the-air TV and towards other areas. Millennials are actually blending free over-the-air TV with digital, internet-based, over-the-top content providers. Sure. So it's an exciting time. That law is outdated. Needs to be scrapped.
Is it your view that the old school legacy players are disadvantaged here? Because we just did a segment about how their stocks are doing better.
Yeah, so actually some of those, you had Comcast, which has cable and broadcast. You had an interesting mix there. So there are different silos, cutting some crosstabs on that analysis, which was fantastic, by the way. I loved it. So you're seeing a lot of experimentation in the marketplace, but you only have one market segment that's constrained by such a law. Every other video content producer and distributor can try to reach 100% of the American people, except for free over-the-air TV broadcasters. And that's just outdated and not needed. Go ahead.
Robert, so I wonder, it seems like some of the things we used to talk about local TV and newspapers about, problems of dominance overall and cross-ownership, now we're talking about Facebook for that sort of thing. Do you think that's warranted to take it out of the conversation of legacy media a little bit? When you look at what these restrictions were intended to do, are they needed over a platform like Facebook or YouTube today?
No, so I'm not arguing for regulating tech the way broadcasters are regulated. That would not be a good idea.
But I wonder if you will.
So, well, I would hope not. I think the marketplace is so insanely and wonderfully competitive right now. It's such a great time to be a consumer of video content. You can get it on all sorts of platforms and from different producers of video, unlike any other time in human history. So this is not the time for 1960s style, or in this case, 1930s style, media regulation. This is a time to relax those, let these market players knock the stuffing out of each other in the marketplace and see what happens. There's tremendous potential for investment and innovation, but you have one segment that has this millstone around its neck, and that's this silly law that does not allow an individual owner to reach 100% of the country for video content if they're distributing that over the air, over TV stations. And that's insane.
Robert, the fact that this law pertains to one specific segment, to the broadcaster segment, with all of these different companies, some of them, you mentioned Comcast, which is our parent company, owning broadcasters, but also building out their own services, their own video services, how do you think this is incentivizing or, I guess, driving where investment and innovation is going, and also potentially deal making?
Excellent question. So by law, a broadcaster cannot go above that 78% ceiling, right? So that's going to stop some consolidation right there, and in a way that's not good. As companies like, let's say, Gray are investing in local news and content and are able to distribute costs across a larger footprint of households, that's exactly what a Netflix can do. It can distribute its costs across the whole country, but TV broadcasters can't. So you're absolutely right. That is influencing M&A. And then another thing we need to talk about is there's a federal appeals court out of Philadelphia, the Third Circuit, that for 15 years, every time the FCC tries to relax rules, this appellate court gets in the way. There are only 2 judges, by the way. 2 judges out of the whole country are getting in the way of some sensible modernization, and that's going to cast a pall over deal making and innovation and market experimentation as well. And that's not good either. So hopefully the FCC can win that on appeal either before the full Third Circuit or the Supreme Court if necessary. But that is, all the broadcasters are now looking at that decision wondering, here in the coming months, what's that going to do to deals going forward?